Hey guys, welcome back to another Java for Beginners tutorial video. This is now episode 8. I hope you're enjoying the series. In this episode, we're going to be looking a bit more further into conditional statements and some more logical operators. So this is part 2. So make sure you've watched part 1 just so you get a feel of the if statement, the if else, or the else if as well. So there's a few things we covered in the last video which will be required for this one, but in this one we're going to delve a little bit deeper and we're going to find some more logical operators to play with. So let's get straight into IntelliJ and kind of do a brief refresher on what we kind of did in the last video. So as mentioned in the last video, we learnt about if and else statements in Java. And if you remember, between the brackets of the if statement, we need to give it a condition. So this is the first example we looked at, where we had a condition, which is raining, and we've set that to false. Now our condition here is raining. If it's true, print out, go get your umbrella and your coat. If it's not true, we're just going to print out phew. Right, and then we went to work. So let me move this back up because it was here, right? And if we had set this true, it would go into this statement. But as it stands, this statement would be false because is raining is not true, it's false. It would simply print out few, okay? And the operator we learned here was the equals equal sign. Now the equals equal sign means is equal to. So is raining is equal to true. And if that's true, then do this. The second example, we looked at the less than operator, which is just this symbol here, right? So what we've done is we've set the hour of a day equal to 19, and we're saying if hour of a day is less than 12, then we're going to print good morning. Else if, so this is another condition, is if the hour of a day is less than 17, then we're going to print out good afternoon. And the next, we've got another else if, because remember, you can have as many of these as you need to make your code work. And in this one, we're saying if the hour of day is less than 21, we're going to print good evening. And then finally, our default option, if none of these are satisfied, is simply good night, because if it's, if it's past 21, that means it's most likely, bedtime. So it will print out good night. So this is great. We've learned kind of some basic operators, and to the flip side, to be fair, we also learned what greater than is, because greater than is literally opposite of this. So it kind of looks like this. So if hour of day is less than 12, then, is greater than 12, then do this. Okay, so let's get rid of what we've done in the last video, and we can start completely fresh. So the first example, I'm missing a bracket there. The first example we want to see for a new operator is the not equal to operator. So if you remember, we had a boolean that was called is raining. Okay, and we set that to true. Let's just set that to true for now. Now, what if we wanted to do something if it's not raining and we didn't want to do an else? Because remember, the else does not have to be a case. So we can do is raining equals false. So if is raining is equal to false, then do something. But we can also do something called not equals to. So let's say we wanted to do something if is raining is not equal to true. All we have to do is we take one of these equal signs and put an exclamation mark like that. Now what we're saying is if is raining is not equal to true, then do something. So let's print out it is not raining, because if is raining is not equal to true, it's not raining. So right now is raining is true. So if we run this, you'll see it does nothing, right? It does absolutely nothing. The reason why is because that statement is not fulfilled. But if we set this to false, so now is raining is definitely not true, and we rerun this, we get the printout that we were expecting. It is not raining. So this sometimes makes sense for the example you need. Sometimes you just want to check a particular scenario. Now if you remember in the last video, there was a simpler way of putting booleans in these brackets. Because a boolean is already a true or false value, we can get rid of all of this bit and just put is raining. Now by default, this is checking if is raining is true. Okay, so this is not what we want. But remember how an exclamation mark kind of inverts that condition? We can put the exclamation mark at the start. So what this means is if is raining is not true. So that's just like an abbreviation for it. But for now, like if you're more comfortable writing it out like this, then that's absolutely fine. If you hover over, IntelliJ will actually suggest to do exactly what we just did just there. But for visibility, it might make more sense just to start off writing things like this. Okay, so that is simply the not equal to operator. The next operator we're going to look like is the AND operator, right? So that's when two things need to be true for something to work. Because like that's great that if raining is true, but what about if we need another something else to be true? So let's say, for example, we have let's just call it got umbrella, and let's set that to false. Okay, what if we want to check if it's raining and you've got an umbrella? So there's a concept in Java called nesting, where it's not just Java, it's kind of everywhere. Nesting means kind of having the same thing inside the same thing. Not probably the best explanation, but what I mean by that is you can do something like this. So inside this code block for this if statement, you can do another if statement. And then we can do got umbrella is true. And we can do a s out, use your umbrella. Right, so for this to be, let's get rid of a not equal to and put the two equals back in. So if it's raining, and then if you've got an umbrella, print out use your umbrella. Otherwise, we can do an else here and then say buy an umbrella, just like that. Okay, and then we can get rid of this line over here because. And we can actually stick that in else, right? So just to walk you through what I've done, we're saying if raining is true, go inside this code block. Okay, so this is the code block. So this is the starting point, and this is where the if statement ends. Inside that if statement, we've got another if statement to say if you've got an umbrella, then print out this. And now if you don't have an umbrella, print out this. Because it's raining, so maybe we can specify that because it is raining, like that. So if we ran this right now, what do you think will happen? So if raining is true and if got umbrella is true, let's run this. Well, we still got is not raining, and that is because this statement itself fails, right? So if we set this to true, let's have a look at what happens. Buy an umbrella because it's raining, and that's correct because this statement is true. So now it's going to move inside this block and is going to this statement, and now it's checking if got umbrella is true. Well, that is false, so instead of going inside this bit, it's gone inside the else for this code block of the if statement. Well, for this if statement itself, right? So that's why it's gone into this bit. So now what I'm saying is this looks a touch messy, right? So another way of doing this is, let's delete that, is by using the AND operator. So an AND operator just looks like this. It's two ampersand symbols or two AND symbols, okay? And there has to be two for the use case that we're going through. So what you would do is write everything the same as we would, but this time we're going to say if it is raining and got umbrella. So now we have two conditions, right, by specifying the AND. And here we can say use your umbrella. Something like that, right? And then here we can do an else if is raining, because that means if it gets to this stage, that means one of these were false, because it means this statement is checking that both of these is true. So if is raining is true, and let's say you haven't got an umbrella. So this is for this use case that this is true, but this was false, which is actually our code at the moment. We will say it is raining, get yourself an umbrella, right? And then we can even do an else if again and say if is not raining. Remember, this is the opposite, so this will kind of do the opposite of true. So in this case, if it's not got an umbrella, and then in here we're saying if it's not raining and you have an umbrella, then let's say let's say put your umbrella back, it is not raining. Clearly someone's wandering around with a umbrella when it's not even raining. I guess it's good for shade, but oh well. And then else. So this situation is when it's not raining and you don't have an umbrella. And let's just say, it's going to sound cheesy, but no rain, no pain. Something like that, right? So at the moment, we've got is raining set to true, and we've got umbrella set as false. Okay, let's run this and see how it behaves. We've got it is raining, get yourself an umbrella. Oh, I realize I've made a bit of a typo there. Get rid of that. We run that, which makes sense because here we've got it raining is true, but you haven't got an umbrella. So our code application is saying it's raining, get yourself an umbrella before you get wet. Now, let's say we set both of these to false and we click run. Now this is saying no rain, no pain because it's not raining and you don't have an umbrella. Now let's set them both to true and click run. Here we've got use your umbrella because it's raining and you have an umbrella. So it's going into this statement here. And then the last one I think is it's raining is false and got an umbrella is true. So if you run that, it now says put your umbrella back, it's not raining. So it's got into this block. And it all just makes logical sense, right? That's what the AND does, right? The AND requires both of these to be true. So if only one of them's true, that's not good enough. So it won't get into this statement. And it will go to the next one in your thing. So if you've got an else if, now this is checking if it's raining and is not got an umbrella. So remember, I've used the abbreviated kind of version here. But remember, this is exactly the same as doing this. Right, and got umbrella equals true. Right, and this is also the same as this. And this is the same as doing the not equals to. Like that. This is also the not equals to because of the exclamation mark. So let's get rid of that and do is not equal to true. And finally, this one is this. So I've just done this just so it makes a little bit more sense because I did write it in the shorthand version. And if you hover over these, IntelliJ will tell you to simplify it back to kind of how it was, just because it looks a little bit cleaner because it's already a boolean value, right? You don't need to specify that. Now this doesn't just work for booleans, as you can imagine, it will work for all kinds of statements. So let's say you had, oh god, I keep deleting the brackets. Let's say you had an integer called myInt, or let's just call it number1 equals 10, and then you had another one called num2 equals 15, and then we can do if num1 is less than, let's say, 20 and num2 is greater than, oh god, I literally wrote is greater than 5. Let's print out let's do, oh god, I'm having a nightmare there. Let's try that again. Oh, silly me. So let's print out number1 is less than 20, num2 is greater than 5. Okay, so if we print that out and if you run this, notice here that out passed. So this is us using the less than and greater than operators. So you can see that we can use a combination of things here. And for the more complex ones, you can put them into their own little brackets just so they make sense. You know, if you want to do some more stuff to them, I'm probably not going to do anything, but this is also very extremely valid. Brackets just kind of wrap around it, and you see that our code still works. And we can put an else, and we'll print out condition not met. So now if we change this to 25, and if we run this, we got condition not met because now this statement fails. Okay, this statement still passes, but that doesn't matter. This means both of these need to pass, which actually leads me quite nicely into the last one, which is the OR operator. The OR operator is these two kind of pipe symbols. So they kind of look like this. Have a look on your keyboard to find it. Most likely you'll have to press shift or something to reach them, but you need two of them. So these two symbols, these two pipe symbols means OR. So if I actually go back to that previous example, this now means if we replace the and with the OR, which is these two pipes, let's run this. Right? So it's printed out this statement. So I'm going to say OR here, because what the OR means is at least one of these have to be true. So if this one's true, that's good enough. Just go straight in here. If this one's true, that's also good enough. Get in here. But what it will do, it will first check the first one, and then it checks the next one. If this is true, it doesn't even bother checking this, because it's an OR. It just means one of them have to be true, right? So if this is true, it will just directly go in here, right? If this is false, then it will check the next statement, which is num2 greater than 5. If that's true, then it will still go in here. If neither are true, then it will go into our else. Okay, so we can run this. And there you go. You got number 1 is less than 20, or number 2 is greater than 5. And then you can do some more logic in here if you needed something specific, right? So that's basically all the operators I think you need to know at this stage. So the AND operator, which is the two ampersand symbols, require both statements to be true for it to go inside your if. Otherwise, that whole statement is false. The OR operator requires only one of them to be true, and it will check the first one to see if that's true, and if that's true, it won't even bother checking the next one. If that one, the first one, is false, it will check the next one. And just remember, you can have as many as you want, right? So let's say we can add another number here. We can do num3 equals 34, and here we can do num3 is equal to 34. So here I'm using a nice combination of things, right? And if I run that, it will still work, right? So you can have as many of these as you want, and you can use whatever combination of things, because you might want to say if number 2 is greater than 5 and number 2 is less than 16, which it is, right? Because number 2 is 15, which means it's greater than 5 but less than 16. Now if we run that, I mean, that was going to work regardless, but let's just say, for example, number 1 is less than 20, which it isn't, and number 3, let's put this to 38, just so you can see that this statement itself will also work. The key here is that I put it in brackets, just so this expression itself is just kind of evaluated as itself, right? The brackets kind of encapsulate this into one statement, all of these different things that are going on. And the last one that we did learn, well, the first one I'd say we learned would be the not equal to, right? So here, if we now change this to not equals to, and let's set this now to 18. So, yep, this bit passes, but this bit fails. Remember, for our AND, both of these need to be true. So currently, this whole bracket would return false, because both of those statements are not true. The number 2 is greater than 5, but it is not less than 16. Therefore, this whole statement is false, right? This statement itself is false, so we've got false, false, and number 3 is not equal to 34, true. So we've got false, false, true. Because we've said or, it means that any one of these need to be true for this to print. So I'll just put 1 or more conditions are true. Just like that. And if we run that, there we go. This proves that the OR does not require all of them to be true. And we've used a combination of different operators. So pretty much that is it for this video. Just if it's helpful, I'm going to kind of go through all of the operators again. Okay, so we've got let's just write them out. So we've got equals equals. Okay, just like that. And this stands for is equal to. Maybe I'll just do these as comments. A bit easier, right? Then we've got, it's a bit annoying. We've got exclamation mark equals. And this stands for is not. Let's make that capital. It's not equal to. Okay. Then we've got greater than is greater than. And as you can guess, we've got is less than. Maybe I'll get rid of these. Maybe it's adding a bit more confusion because they're the same symbols. And maybe I'll just indent. So we've got equals equals, which is equal to. We've got is not equal to. We've got greater than, is less than. And on top of that, we've also got is greater than or equal to. So is greater than or equal to. And as you can imagine, we've got the opposite, which is less than or equal to. Equal to. Okay. We've also met the AND operators. These are logical operators because they kind of determine logic. So AND is this statement and the other statement need to both be true. I've put both, but as I've shown you in the previous examples, you can have more. So maybe I'll just put need to be true and put here bracket s. So if you did have more, like more ands and more statements in one if block, they all need to be true. And then finally, we have the OR, logical OR operator, which means this statement or the other statements need to be true. Basically, at least one statement. So maybe I'll just put at least one statement needs to be true. Okay, and this is pretty much it in terms of operators for now, at least. So as mentioned, you can use as many of these as you want in a go. Play around with it. Have some fun trying to create your own conditions and maybe build upon the conditions we did in the last video, or try and do something I did in the last video. Maybe that is raining. Maybe it was that time thing we did where we said if the hour is this, print out good morning. Maybe use a combination of these to see if you can improve that logic. And if you want to, feel free to put your solution in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate your support, and also subscribe if you have not already. So looking forward to catching you guys in the next one. Take care. Happy programming.